Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for February 5th. I'm your host, Taryn Armstrong, and with me today is Jenny. How you doing, Jenny?
Taryn, I'm great. It's second Tuesday in a row that I get to celebrate a Tom Green HOH, so
There you go.
I'm calling myself a Canadian good luck charm.
It's all down to Jenny.
Yeah. I need to take some credit. I need something to feel good about, okay?
Yeah. We are here to talk about everything that happened on the Big Brother Celebrity 2 live feeds yesterday. And let's get to it. There wasn't a whole lot of movement. Obviously, again, it was sort of the slow HOH previously. Not a lot happening there. And then we do not really have much to update you in terms of what the plan is. So I'm going to try to focus a little more on some of the small details along the way here that went down. For instance, if you watched the eviction last night, you know Tom was very convinced that he was going to go home. Part of that, I'm sure, is, as they mentioned last night on the podcast, that he is, talking about, I need to just play dead. But also part of it is that he genuinely believed that he was going home last night. He talked to Kato before the eviction about how they, Natalie, Lolo, and Ricky had brought him into a room and they were like, hey, so we're gonna keep you. And he was like, they're just trying to make me comfortable for the veto so I don't win it. They want me gone. They're lying to me. I know it. So he was very convinced, and he bet Kato a beer, as you saw.
Yeah, he was not trusting that pitch last night, and they had him and Kato have their little chat before the episode. And he's like, I'll be very surprised if they say your name tonight. And Kato talks a bit about hypotheticals, but you can tell that he kind of is on the same page and thinks, and as we see through the episode, really thinks that he's the one that's staying and that Tom is going.
Yeah.
So
Tom had him convinced. Tom's
a very convincing guy.
They talked about it again. It's like every time one of them has an idea and they're able to convince the other one, it happens to be the wrong idea. It's like, why couldn't Tom convince Kato of this when Kato was HOH and he could have done something about it? Why couldn't Kato stop Tom from playing murder mystery? I don't know about these things.
Kato can only convince each other of things that are totally inconsequential, that are not going to help their game whatsoever.
Yes. Ridiculous. All right. So as you saw on the episode last night, we did get Kato evicted by a vote of 5-0, and Tom was shocked.
Yeah, and he's shocked he's staying, and he's not expecting this at all, and now he's got to figure out going on from here whether he wants to win this thing next. Because didn't go well for him last time.
It's true. So. It's true. People were talking about how Ricky was asking to have Kato hold the door open when Kato was like, do I open the door?
He doesn't know how to open the door.
Do I do it? Is this allowed, guys? Am I allowed to do this? I've only seen 4 other people leave, but I can't really remember. Did they open it? Did somebody else open it?
The most confusing part of the game for Kato Kaelin. How does the door open?
Ricky was hoping his wife would be in the audience. That's why he wanted to see through the door. He thought maybe he could get a glimpse of her. I believe that was what was going on there.
Do the people that aren't even up for eviction, do their family members usually come to the taping?
Well, that's what they were like. Is she coming to all of them? He's like, I don't know. I would imagine that even if they did have the family members come, that they would be like, no, you're sitting not in sight of the door. So you can't give any signals.
No collusion in Big Brother.
Yeah.
Not allowed.
Especially a guy like Ricky. I'm sure he's got plenty of football signals that he's...
He talked about it with his wife beforehand.
Yeah.
Don't know how you would communicate such a thing, but I'm sure that he's got something.
No. So after the eviction, Tom, the feeds come back. Tom, Tom, Candy, Dina, and Tamar were talking, and Tom was explaining about like, I really thought I was going to go. And he was talking about how, basically what happened was he had his show on MTV. He had worked so hard to get his show onto TV, and it was like the height of his success. And then boom, he was hit with a cancer diagnosis in the middle of all of that, and it kind of like wrecked his whole trajectory. And so he's explaining like he just always feels like the rug is going to get pulled out from under him ever since that moment, that like something else is going to come. He's always been just a little bit pessimistic, and it's kind of a touching moment. Candy gets up and she hugs him. She's like, "I'm so glad you're here, Tom." And so that was going on there.
I love their relationship. I don't know. I just really, especially now because like they really need each other. Just the conversations that they have always seem really genuine. And I think that like as soon as Kato leaves the house, like the energy changes, and you can just, even everyone's kind of talking about it, saying like, like I really like him. Like I think he's going to be a little bit more calm now. Like you can tell that the perception is that Kato was like maybe like a bad influence on Tom, and that part of their partnership might be why he acted a little bit the way he did. And there's just like this lightness to the vibe as soon as the episode ends and Kato's gone. But yeah, that was like a really nice conversation, and I again really enjoy the vibe between Candy and Tom. And I think that she's like, Kato acted like he had all of like the game like perceptions to feed to Tom, but I actually think like Candy's actually got good strategy.
She actually knows what's up here.
This is the partner that he actually needs. So I'm like really hoping that this is going to come together and work out to something.
Yeah. I think to your point about, there's certainly more Tom trash talking that we'll get to, but I think that there's something to this idea that, now that we got rid of Kato, like there's this sort of narrative creation that goes on in your head when you're trying to be defensive about something or trying to create a narrative in which you're the hero, right? Where if Tom and Kato are these crazy villains, and they've done such terrible things to you, but all they really did was play murder mystery, and then ever since then they've just been like chilling. It's hard to like continually convince yourself that they're such terrible people because they're not doing anything. So I think that when you are able to take Kato out of the game and now it's just Tom, it's like, okay, here we go. Now I can start to make sense of this. The problem was Kato. And so now that it's just Tom, it's not as much of a problem anymore. Tom without Kato is really a lot better. And that explains why my, inside narrative is not matching the outside narrative. It's all because of Kato. And so you're able to sort of like, okay, I can make sense of this in my head. I can rationalize this.
Well, and Lolo especially, but Lolo and Natalie tend to do this like post-eviction thing. We saw it after they voted out Ryan, where they kind of like overtalk the reasoning to why they got there to like justify, because we see this after Ryan goes, where Lolo is like kind of feeling a little guilty. She has like her tears, and then she's like, but like, they weren't including us on anything, and like they would have flipped on us, and they were tighter with each other, and like justify, like you can tell that there's like a little part of her that's like, oh shit, does this look bad, or did I maybe take this too far? And then it's like they go back to this like no, and we see them do this tonight or last night. I don't know. Again, Taryn, I don't know what time is, but we see them do it again last night after Kato goes, being like, because there's conversation about, okay, well, Tom has to go next. He's super nice. Like, I think Tamar says it like, oh, he's a great guy, but like, he got to go next. And then, Lolo again is like, like they just didn't stick with us, and they would have picked up Candy anyway. And like, just creating this, like they would have gone against us anyway, trying to justify like everything that just happened in this last insane week. So they're definitely doing some like narrative twisting to like almost soothe their own like there's a little piece of their consciousness inside of them saying like, was it really that bad? Was this like, was it really that they were such terrible people?
That's why they go even harder with the justifications, is because the harder you find it to justify, the harder you need to search for justifications, and the firmer you need to be in your position, because otherwise you expose yourself to the terrifying notion that I might be wrong. No.
And they all like seek each other for validation of like what they're doing. So
and this happens every season on Big Brother.
Yeah.
This is very, very typical behavior. It's just it's made all the worse when you know that these jury members are going to be watching the tapes. It's one thing to do this, when it's this can be in its own twisted way a kind of team building, a kind of way to keep people from bonding with others and working with you and so on and so forth. But you can't use this particular tactic on Celebrity Big Brother. It is not an effective one because they will see it. And so you really got to be careful here.
Yeah. And there's nothing about this season that has been careful.
No. I will say, so yesterday I talked about how none of these people are playing well. Strategically, this house is just a big mess. So just pick your person and just
that's playing okay.
Go for it. Just do whatever you want, because nobody deserves to win this game.
Kristen McInnes says there's no such thing as deserving in Big Brother. So that's pretty much gospel.
Yesterday I was thinking about it. I was watching Candy on the feeds, and I was just like, you know what? Candy's my person. I'm all in on Candy. I just love her. She's so too. Great.
That's why I'm loving, I feel like, Tom isn't long for the world, but like seeing him and Candy, like I'm all in on the two of them now. Candy is incredible, and she's really rising up now. We're really getting to see more from her, which I'm so here for.
She's just like the only normal person in that house. She's like intelligent, she's well dressed, she's poised, she's successul. I'm all. She's
always just sitting in the corner while all of this is like just popping off, just minding her own business. And you could just like you always get these little like scenes of her kind of like a little bit of side eye, but like it's so under the radar. Like she's just low key shady. I love it.
I saw someone comment about like, man, I wish I had her style sense. She's always looking good in the house. I was like, you know what? She is always looking good in the house. She is. That's pretty rare.
Can we get like a like an update on like how you feel about like Candy's outfit every day? Like, can we like, I'm really here for like Taryn's like fashion corner.
I wasn't sure about the black lipstick at first, but like I'm into it now. I'm good.
I don't even know if it's black. Like I feel like it's like a navy blue or something. Like
whatever.
I mean, semantics.
Look, I can't pay that close attention.
I want you to. I want this to be a thing. I want your takes on Candy's looks.
Yes. So we're also going to get Natalie, Lolo, and Ricky talking about, again, Cato's eviction and how, he deserved it and everything. They're also going to talk about who had the power, who had it. Who do we think? Was it you, Ricky? No, it wasn't me. It was Tamar. Let's be real. It was Tamar. They agree. It was probably Tamar. They could see why she would be the favorite.
Yeah. Who couldn't see why she would be the favorite? So, I mean, we got the announcement during the episode that it's expired. So it all doesn't matter anymore, but they recognize that probably makes the most sense. So
we're also going to get a conversation between Tom and Lolo. Tom is going to be like, hey, look, I'm sorry. He has already apologized. He's apologizing again. I'm sorry if I came off in a way that I did not intend to. I did not want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. I was just trying to have some fun. I really was. They introduced this twist, this power, and I was like, hey, like, I'm sure they want content of people trying to find out who has the power. Like, that's the point of introducing the power and telling us about it and not telling us who it was. So I was like, hey, let's play murder mystery. Let's find out who has the power. I did not mean for it to make anyone feel uncomfortable or to make you feel uncomfortable in our alliance. That was not my intention, and I'm sorry if it came off that way. Yeah.
That whole conversation was so meta and very interesting to watch, just because Tom goes on and on about like his realizing that he's like sort of playing a character and that it's still a TV show and he has like all this experience in TV. And so like he's always thinking about these scenes and he thinks it would be really funny to have all of these like, you know, spliced together clips of him like interrogating different people about who has the power, and that he really just thought it would be really funny, and that's what he was trying to play up. And like Lolo's kind of like playing along being like, oh, I really never thought of it that way, but like, you know, everyone's really paranoid and like we're playing a game and people, you know, like didn't take it funny.
Yeah, she was like, you were running around like a crazy person. Like, he's like, oh, I'm so, you know, it wasn't my intention. I see where you're coming from though, and I apologize.
It's just so weird though, this conversation. Like, what strikes me about it is that like Tom is kind of explaining and he's like recognizing, he's like, yeah, that was not my, you know, intention. Like I was really just thinking about it, you know, from an entertainment standpoint, and that was my mistake and blah, blah, blah. And like, she's just like, yeah, like you were really, really acting like a maniac. Like you can't do that again, Tom. And like at no point does she ever acknowledge any of her behavior at any point. Like she really has this perception that everything that went on between this like alliance of 5 in the last week is somehow just traced back to like all things could just be traced back to Tom and how he acted about the power. And if it weren't for that, then like none of the things that were said would be said. Like she doesn't even acknowledge her place in it at all. It's absolutely frustrating to watch because yes, you can totally recognize that, you know, not great gameplay from Tom's end. Like you alienated people in your alliance by like, you know, interrogating them and stuff like that. But she's just like, yeah, like, you really shouldn't have done that, and is explaining that part away. And it's just like, oh yeah, and for, you know, let's forget about all the times that we were like all screaming at each other and, you know, accusing each other of being things that maybe you shouldn't be, you know, saying on TV.
There's also like very little acknowledgement or understanding of what Tom is saying, where he's trying to explain where he was coming from, and she is hearing what he's saying, but she's not accepting what he's saying. And so like when Tom is saying, you know, this is what happened, I just wanted to play murder mystery, blah blah blah, she's like, just promise you won't go crazy again. He just explained that he wasn't. Like he wasn't.
That's not what was happening,
right? But you know, this is still a positive conversation. I do think that this softened Tom in Lolo's eyes, and I do think that she tried in her own way here in this conversation, and I do think that she kind of believed him a little bit about this, and I feel like she was feeling okay about this, and she. But she of course is going to say something along the lines of, you know, if you had just stayed true, if you hadn't been so crazy, we would have stayed true to the alliance, of course. But you know, it's still all on you being crazy. But and, you know, all of that. Thomas, I just want to have fun. I just want to be nice, and I don't want to have to worry about winning. I don't even want to be HOH.
Too much stress.
It's too stressful. I don't even want to win. Pretty sure this is, you know, partly genuine on Tom's part, in the sense that he is genuinely explaining where he came from, and I think he's trying to like, let's bring the intensity levels down. Although I think this part of it was almost definitely strategy, going back to what he talked about with just play dead, because he is going to end up winning this HOH. So pretty, you know, certainly he could have changed his mind, but I think that he was intentionally trying to play up the, oh, I'm not even trying anymore, guys.
Yeah, like he does. I mean, I think you'd have to think that it's pretty obvious to everyone else, but he, like, from the moment that Kato's even before, because he was expecting to go, he's acting the whole evening like, let's just have fun, like, you know, totally downplaying his threat level. And you take Kato out and he's kind of a little bit like, he's acting like defeated, but not like morose about it. Like he still has a pretty good attitude about it, but he's just like, oh yeah, that HOH, that was not fun. Ugh, let's never do that again.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple hours.
Yeah. So Natalie, Tamar, and Ricky are going to ask about how Lolo's talk with Tom went. Lolo explains, and Natalie's just like not having it. She's really anti this conversation with Tom. She's like, you don't believe that, do you?
There's like a moment where you actually can see that Lolo did kind of take some truth in it. It was like, well, I think that there's like, she said something like, well, like even, there's a little bit of truth to every joke. And then like Natalie and Ricky and Tamar are all just like, no, like that's absolutely not what happened. Like it was not, there was nothing about how he was acting that was intentional as a, like as a TV moment. And they like speak to other moments where I think they said something about like, oh, well, like when Ross and Marissa were like trying to like play up like a scene, like they acknowledged it. And like there was never any like moment where Tom was like acknowledging that he was like playing it up for the camera. So it's like, because he didn't like say it to them, like in the moment that it was happening, like, oh, I'm just playing this up for TV. Like that they're saying that couldn't have possibly been what he was doing. And they just shut Lolo down. They're like, no, this is fake.
Bill Hall in the chat points out correctly. They were completely dismissive of everything that Lolo was telling him. And it was weird in this moment where I was like, man, Natalie really competing for the I'm going to lose jury vote spot with Lolo right now. Lolo is being the better one in this conversation. Like,
yeah, it's kind of
this is some risky business here, Natalie.
Yeah, it was a new look where it's like Lola's like, well, maybe he's not that bad. And then they're just like, nope. Natalie's like, absolutely not. That's bullshit.
Yeah. And Tamar's, oh, yeah, his cockiness just got to him.
She goes on about his ego. Like, But I had just seen her say, like, he's a nice guy, but he's got to go. And then as soon as she sees, like, Lolo talking about, like, well, like, maybe there is, like, a little bit of truth to it. She's like, nope. He's paranoid. He's cocky. His ego got to him. That's what happened. It's just like, okay, never mind. I won't bring it up again.
Yeah. It's just like they're gonna get out of the house. The forward plays, like everybody saw on the show, and if you watch the feeds especially, Tom did not care who had the power. He was all about Ricky. If anybody has anything to complain about, it's maybe Ricky, but even Ricky should be able to understand, like, yeah, I was kind of coming for him. But apart from that, he said multiple times, I don't care who has the power. I'm just going after Ricky. This is just like to have some fun and to throw up a little bit of a smoke screen. They're gonna be like, oh, they're not really gonna know that they made a mistake, but let's be real. So Candy and Dina talked a little bit about what they would do if they won HOH. They both agree. Natalie and Lolo on the block. Let's do it.
Yes, yeah. They're talking about what happens if the other side gets it. Who's going to go up? It's going to be Tom and one of them. And then they're saying, we got to break up those three. What's the way that we break up the three? Candy correctly, in my opinion, assesses that you got to break up Lolo and Natalie. So that is good news. Thank you, Candy.
Yeah, Candy also talks with Tom about what he would do, and he's like, I haven't really thought about it yet. And she pitches like, hey, Natalie and Lolo, you got to take them out. If the three of them, Natalie, Lolo, and Ricky, if they stay in the game after this week, they will have a majority in the house. They're gonna be too dangerous.
That's just math.
Yeah, well, almost math, but
almost.
So yeah, I mean it's crazy stuff here, and basically what we're looking at heading into the HOH, you got Candy, Dina, Tom on one side. They're all we presume Tom would nominate the women, all going to be nominating Natalie and Lolo, with Natalie as the presumed target. And then you have on the other side Ricky, Lolo, and Natalie fighting for the HOH, with Tom as the presumed target, with Candy likely going on the block next to him. So
And they're expecting it's going to be some sort of physical competition because it's been a lot of non-physical the last couple. And so you got to think like the three athletes versus Tom Green, Dina Lohan, and Candy versus like what are they're going in very confident into this HOH. The girls and Ricky. So they're expecting a physical.
And I was concerned with the previous HOH, the Tamar deciding to win, and then I feel like she made the right call here in keeping in going after Tom and Kato, but the winning of the HOH was the really, really terrible call, and would likely lead to a Ricky or Natalie win, and that was presumably going to be the turning point. That's what I said. I was potentially wrong here because we did get the turning point here. The unlikely scenario, Tom is going to win the HOH. It was the giant rolling dice competition, the one that I always remember it for being the veto that Devin went home on. On Big Brother 16. And apparently Omarosa hosted it.
Yeah, Omarosa's there.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that. Yeah, they that's what they talk about for most of the rest of the night when they get back. And everyone was really excited to see Omarosa.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me that Tom won this competition. It's all about figuring out the best path to get to the side of the thing. So sorry. If you listen to my American Ninja Warrior podcast, I'm really great at describing physical things. So you're welcome. But the optimal path to get to the correct side of the die is how to do this. So this seems like it would be in Tom's wheelhouse. And so he did end up winning it. And I tweeted out this morning when I saw it, I was just like, all praise Tom Green. For the second time in a row, he has saved this season from itself. He has stopped the steamroll and given us a game again. Was this good for Tom? It's good in the sense that he's not going to be evicted this week, but him winning the HOH is not great for him in general because he is going to be a massive target heading into the next week, which is going to be a double eviction. I very much expect that Tom is the most likely candidate for being evicted in the double eviction. But look, Tom was never this wondrous strategic player that any is. Tom is dying for the good of the show. He is
dying for our sins.
Yes, he has brought us the entertainment we need. I said he is like a little piece of chaos that the Big Brother gods have injected into the season. The same ones that gave us Topaz's vote in Big Brother Canada 1. It's just he's just giving us what we need to keep this season going, to keep it alive. Every time we think it's gonna die, Tom Green steps in and he says, "No, not today. We do not die on this day. We continue on Celebrity Big Brother 2."
Sorry, I'm gonna need a moment. I am equally excited, Taryn. That's all I have to say.
So Tom is
right
HOH.
There with you. So Tom's HOH.
Yeah. Natalie is pissed. She's not happy about this. What are the odds? What are the odds Tom would win?
This is the worst possible
about 1 in 6.
scenario.
What are the odds?
Math again.
Yeah.
They're not pleased about this. Natalie and Tamar are kind of talking in the bedroom after, like a little bit later after they come back, and they're like, "Well, what are we gonna do? Just win the veto? I guess what are we gonna do?" And like Tamar's like, "There's nothing we can do about it." I love how short her fuse is with it. She's like, "Well, that's what happened. So what are we gonna do? Complain about it?"
Yeah. Natalie's talking to Lolo, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna be targeted. We're gonna be targeted. That's annoying, and it'll probably be me and Ricky, and then you'll go up on the block if we win the veto, Lolo." But Natalie will also go on about well, Tom can't win in the end. He can't win. He's not going to get any jury votes. That Tom. It's like, Natalie,
they're talking about.
Be careful.
Think about this.
Natalie campaigning real hard for Lolo to win the game last night.
I still don't think that that it's enough. I don't think Natalie's campaigning enough for Lolo to, erase what's been done thus far. But yeah, she's really anti-Tom last night. Until later when, it's time to hang out in the HOH room, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes, there the butt kissing will commence.
Put the lipstick on. Let's go.
Yes. So Tom has a conversation with Natalie later in the night where he explains the same stuff to her that he was explaining to Lolo. Like, I was just trying to have fun with it. It was a murder mystery. And Natalie, who previously was like, "You don't believe that, do you?" No way. To Tom, she is like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." Which, like, yeah, good. Don't tell him you don't believe him. But it was funny.
Sorry.
I'm breaking my co-host this morning. We also got Natalie and Tamar. Tamar was also not happy about this outcome. She's Kato's probably happy. He's probably happy that Tom won. But guess what? Tom's going out next, so it doesn't even matter. It just hurts. It hurts me. It hurts me to see Tom get this far. It hurts me that he might get to the end. It hurts.
This I can't handle this. The good people, bad people narrative. And like now Tom is like the sole representative of like the bad side. And it's just like, oh, how dare Tom Green get to the end? Like, what a terrible person. But when you're on the other side of it, these are the things you tell yourself to feel better.
Yeah, I guess so. Lolo is gonna join them, and then they're gonna turn and they're gonna round on to Tamar. Like, really, Tamar, this is all your fault because you made us keep Natalie. Or sorry, Natalie was saying this. You made us keep Candy. And Candy, who she is playing both sides. She is, she probably threw that HOH, which if she did. Good job.
Yeah, there's something about like it sounds like there was a situation where she could have like picked Tom or something like that, and she didn't, or like she could have gone against Tom.
Yeah, this was another knockout style competition where you pick your opponent, I believe, and so obviously she was not anti-Tom because she's not stupid. Yeah. And so they were very mad about that. This really was this Joey Candy vote was hugely important. And it's really worked out in Tom's favor here. So they're mad at Tamar for keeping Candy. And Natalie's like, I can't believe Candy's doing this to us after we saved her.
Yeah, like what heroes. Yeah, like, and my favorite part of this whole conversation. So they're talking about so Natalie and Lolo seem to really think that Candy was throwing it, and Tamar's like, no, she's not really doing that. And they're like, well, she's playing both sides. She didn't need to win this competition. Like, she probably threw it. And then Tamar's like, she's been playing both sides. And then they're like, yeah, that's what we said. And she's like, well, if you had told me this, I would not have kept her. Like, this is brand new information. I had zero idea that Candy has been playing both sides. This is outrageous. And they're like, we told you this.
Yeah, and they're like, Candy, she's just gonna get to the end. She has no blood on her hands. She's just gonna win this thing. And Tamar's like, what?
She's not gonna win.
She's not gonna get any votes. And they're like, are you serious? Yeah, of course she will. I'm a little concerned that Tamar's end game was to genuinely take Candy, thinking she would beat her.
I think that is very possible at this point.
I mean, I say concerned, but I'm now like kind of hoping.
Like, I was watching this and trying to figure out, like, is she acting? Like, is she playing this up? But she genuinely was just like, she really thinks that Candy is a a non-factor in this whole game, and that is going to be a mistake for her, that we might see sooner rather than later. So.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. There's certainly a possibility that anytime Tamar is talking with Natalie and Lolo, that she is not being entirely genuine. We know that she is more attached to Candy than we think. That's why I'm saying, like, I feel like potentially what happened in this conversation was that she was doing her regular thing of like, yeah, Candy sucks, blah, blah, blah. Wait, she's going to win? Hold on. Wait a minute. That's not good with what I was thinking about, because I was thinking about betraying you and taking her. But now that's, I don't like that idea.
What do I do now? Where's Dina at?
Dina talks with Tom late at night, and they don't really, there's nothing really of importance in this conversation.
How dare you, Karen? She's winning this.
Still no real plan from Tom. He has not really given up what he plans on doing with the nomination. So as of right now, anything could happen. There's a chance that Tom, our savior, makes a terrible mistake.
Please no. Karen, don't put that out into the universe.
You
Come
never
on. I was
know,
having a
Tom.
wonderful Tuesday so far. I really just hope that Candy is in his ear enough to, get him to make their, like, I hope that Candy swoops in Kato's absence and, gets him on the right path with, it needs to be Natalie and Lolo, and that he's not too fixated on this Ricky thing still, because that's not the best plan. I mean, it all comes down to the veto anyway, but the best situation is you put Natalie and Lolo up on the block, and perhaps Ricky isn't even in the veto, right? Because we have enough people that Ricky might not get picked.
Yeah, I got a tweet from Nick Rader on Twitter who suggested this for Tom, which I'm actually kind of on board with. He said, Tom's plan should be to put Natalie and Tamar on the block, because basically what happens here is that if they both stay on the block, then you're looking at a tie vote. You're looking at Ricky and Lolo keeping Natalie. You're looking at Candy and Dina keeping Tamar. You get to break the tie, still evict Natalie, but really just enforce these two sides so that you see Tamar just had Ricky and Lolo vote against her potentially, and then it pairs them off a little bit more too. So now it seems like Candy and Dina are working together along with Tamar versus Lolo and Ricky, and maybe you stay out of the spotlight a little more, and gets Tamar mad at them and all of this stuff. I am on board with this. Tom doesn't really have anything to lose as long as he feels good enough that Dina and Candy won't flip.
That's the thing.
Tamar
You're putting a lot, like, it's risky. It like, from a logic standpoint, it totally makes sense. But you're putting a lot in the hands of people that you don't really have control of. And I know those are the two most stable people in the house in terms of not blowing up and changing plans and stuff like that. But I would still be like, with this particular house and the climate that we've seen thus far, I would be a little hesitant to put yourself in a situation where there's a very real possibility that it's like Tamar that goes, and then the three are still together. You don't end up with two of the three on the block on eviction night. Like, that is kind of risky.
Here's the thing, though. That's certainly possible. But if that happens, then Tom's screwed anyway, because that means that Candy or Dina started working with the trio, which means he would have been screwed anyway, because they would have been working with the trio, and he would have been on the outs, and he's already on the outs. I feel like, again, Tom doesn't have that much to lose. I'm pretty on board with this. We played a mini game of Big Brother at a live know-it-alls, and I actually did this move at 7 and it worked. So I can vouch for it.
There you go. Tested, proven. It worked once. It will always work.
Yes. I did it to get Kirsten out, if you are.
No.
Still will not forgive me for that.
I don't imagine.
So yeah, I really, I mean, I don't think that he will do this move, but fun to think about.
It's possible. It would be fun to watch it play out that way. But I kind of see Tom as being more likely to just go straight, like not get cute with it, and go for the straightforward. Put two of the three on the block, and if one of them wins veto, the other one goes up. But
yeah, and
never know.
I think that Candy will push for Lolo and Natalie. There's certainly a chance that Tom wants Ricky. He's certainly been set on Ricky for a long time. However, he did talk to Kato, I believe 2 days ago, about, if we won HOH, maybe we should try to cut a deal with Ricky and go after the women. So hard to say. Either way, I think almost certainly we're going to lose one of Ricky, Lolo, or Natalie. There is a part of me that is like, for the novelty of it at the very least, like, what if we lost Ricky and then Tom, and it really is just like the final five are all women? Like, that's never happened before. That'd be kind of cool to see. So
with like less women to go in, like the fact that we're in a situation where there's 5 women and 2 men left in a game that started with 5 women and 7 men, like it's absolutely insane. And for it to end up with like a final 5 all women, like the men just go out in sequence, like that would be absolutely incredible, just from making history standpoint. And I think it'd be really entertaining to see how it plays out.
I mean, it'd make for a memorable, we'd always be able to look back and be like, remember that season where it was all women in the end? It's like, yeah.
I'm here for it.
It's like
I love Tom Green and I want him to win, even though it seems like a very difficult path at this point. But if it's not going to happen this way, I would love it to be, 5 women at the end. That's
it's like the reverse Micronesia, where they unintentionally become all women in the end. So that's what's going on. Again, there's not a whole lot to update here, apart from just the fact that Tom won this HOH. We're gonna get more of an idea of what he's planning today, I'm sure, and I will be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that Tom is planning and everything else that happens.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of dancing late night.
Yes.
Tom Green got A Tribe Called Quest as his music, and he's like dancing with the key, and like he like rapped a couple lines. That's how I knew it was A Tribe Called Quest. And so at least we've got at least we get Tom with the longer HOH reign, so we get like a little bit more relaxed. Well, he wasn't relaxed the last time, but I think this one will be a little bit better. I'm feeling optimistic about this HOH reign for Tom.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone is going to be HOH for the long period of 5 days or whatever it is, I'm happy it's Tom. The last time it was Tom, he gave us some good feeds. So hopefully we're good. It seems like the Natalie, Ricky, Lolo group here, they're not doing the like death sleep sort of thing. They're doing the like, we're super pissed and we're going to be bitter about it thing, which is usually a little more fun than the death sleep, so that's
definitely
good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're hopefully in for a good week here. Hopefully it's not too straightforward. Either way, I think just the fact that we're seeing a little bit of a power shift is something here. So there's hope for this season yet.
We got to take what we can get at this point. Like, you know what? This time last week, you were saying that, we were in for the steamroll, and we were just saying, well, at least we get a Tom Green HOH to make it fun. And look at what happened in that week. A lot. And things shifted in that there was still part of the core that we worry about steamrolling, but Tom becomes the underdog and wins HOH, and so now we don't have to worry about quite the same steamroll. So
let me just explain to everyone how much Tom has saved us this season, because if Tom doesn't flip on that alliance, that alliance has basically won all of the competitions thus far. I saw somebody, I wish I could credit them on Reddit, who talked about this, like, probably what would have happened in that previous HOH that Tamar won is that if they hadn't been intentionally trying to get Kato and Tom out of the competition, if they had been working the other way, trying to get Tamar and Candy and Dina out of the competition, then Kato probably would have won that. And so it would have been Kato, Tom, Kato, with Lolo winning vetoes and Tom and Kato winning the vetoes, and they would have just trampled over everyone. And again, Tom winning this HOH, so it's like it would have been just such a steamroll. It really would have been. They would have just stomped all the way to the end, but Tom was like, no, not today.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know, though. It's okay. I'm happy with this timeline. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's been entertaining. I hope that if this week is going to be, you know, entertaining, that it's not necessarily the same kind of entertaining as the last one. But I want to see them scramble a little bit. As long as Alison Grodner doesn't need to tell people to stop being like callous towards each other, and it's more so just like them all being pissed off and maybe some throwing of each other under the bus, that would be cool too.
Wait a minute. So. Did you see what just happened? Tom just put me on the block. It was so threatening. He basically followed through with the threats from the previous week where he gave me that look.
Those threatening looks. I wonder what the speech is going to look like. I'm sure it's going to be very threatening.
Oh, yeah. Very threatening. All right. That's all we've got for you today. Make sure you find us on Twitter. I am at Armstrong Taryn. Jenny, where can people find you?
I am at Jenny Autumn.
There you go. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the feeds. And then tomorrow night, we will have the roundtable where we will update the stock watch and make more purchases. We have a lot of money lost here, as Alexandra pointed out on Twitter when she posted the stock watch statistics here. It's a bit more interesting when you lose more people along the week because you can't sell and prepare for their eviction. Rob, who is playing along in the stock watch, has lost $15 worth of shares with the eviction of Joey and Kato. Melissa with $11 lost with Joey and Kato, and Brent with $4 lost. Myself with $3.
I think that Joey eviction, especially with like, you know, the entire community going into that live eviction not really knowing what the hell was going to happen, I think that screwed up a lot of people's stock watch. So
yeah, it was a real blindside. And now none of us have any candy stock. I almost bought some candy shares, but I was like, oh, she's probably leaving because I'm just throwing my money away.
I didn't buy either of them because I was just like, no.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't. I had the reason I lost less is because I bought Joey when he was cheap. Rob and Melissa bought him when he was expensive and right about to go out the door. So
I don't claim to be good with money at all. So time, money, not good with either of these things. So.
All right, so make sure you check that out tomorrow night. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of stuff to talk about as well. So lots of great stuff. Winter of Stein is going to come out today, I believe, at some point. So lots of great stuff. Lots of great stuff. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'll see you next time.
Bye.